came off in college with something,
evening,
and everybody in the
Can you hear me
family
okay?
got something. I just got a
Thank
different
you all
duration.
so much for joining us this evening. Eddie and Jax. Where's Jax? I lost him. He's out there somewhere. He don't run. And so we're going to get started here with tonight's program. And really, this is just a night at the museum, an opportunity to connect you with so many who paved my and some of their paths to serve us. Our host tonight is Mr. David Fitzpatrick, who is the director of the museum here, the Armament Museum. So please give a round of applause, Mr. Fitzpatrick. This museum is generally not open at night, so we open the doors just for us. And before we get this started, we are now opening the food line, so please grab your plate, bring it back to your seat, and then we're going to start with tonight's festivities. Thanks everybody for being here.
And it ain't no secret, no. Understand that you love that question in your soul. Look up, don't look down, and watch the answers unfold. Life is your birthright, they hid that in the fine print. Take the pen and rewrite it. Step out your estimate. Step in your essence. You know that you're excellent. Rise. The spirit is speaking. No, I'm not just speaking. I'm taking my own advice. Let me just let you know. I used to try and I don't get no days off. I don't get no days off. Truly, I'm feeling it. I have to say that thing twice. Trying to be a good wife, still really hard I can't. But I promised you I will fight, so I fight. If you're feeling frustrated and you're sinking, I'm jumping in. Better wake up because you're part of something way bigger. You'll never lose, we are winners. I'll be the root, you'll be the tree. Pass on the fruit that was given to me. Legacy, oh, we're part of something way bigger. Let love be the water I pour into you as you pour into me. There ain't no drought here, room into our actual powers. I'll be your sanctuary. You just don't know it yet. No, you just don't know it yet. No matter how hard it gets, you got my blood in yours, and you're gonna rise. We're part of something way bigger. We're part of something way bigger. Bigger than you, bigger than we, bigger than the picture they framed us to see, yeah. Ooh, you're part of something way bigger. If you're feeling significant, you better think again. Better wake up because you're part of something way bigger. You're part of something way bigger. Thank you.
That was amazing. Oh my God.
I was born by the river. In Littleton. Oh, just like the river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. I've been trying for, I don't know what's up there. Heaven keeps on me behind the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know And I went to my brother, and I said, brother, help me please. But he winds up knocking me on my knees. Oh, there's been times that I thought I couldn't last for long, but somehow I think I'm able to carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know the change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will.
As the Gibson/Mentzer family, we roll pretty deep. Can I ask all my family to stand? All y'all. All y'all. All y'all. So I've got, all my brothers and sisters, your aunts, uncles, cousins, mother-in-law, everybody that just showed up tonight. And for my brothers and sisters and I, the first time in about 5 years that we've all been together at the same time. So it's really he was the one that provided all the food this evening. Chef Ernie brought it in and then rolled out. We'll be back later. So just, if he's out there, clap for him so that he knows we appreciate him and his Louisiana flair. I also want to introduce our officiant for tomorrow's ceremony. This is somebody that has truly shaped my career and opened so many amazing opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr.
Yeah, it is. Mr.
General.
I love it.
General David Goldstein.
Just Dave. I love it.
So, as Eddie and I talked about retirement, I was like, well, we'll just kind of fade into the sunset. Eddie was very persistent that that didn't happen, that we do something. And I said, well, if we're going to have something, we need to do it in a place that is meaningful. And that's why we have you all here tonight. A lot of our career has been shaped by this theme called the freedom to serve. In a minute, I'm going to invite up somebody to let you hear a little bit about that. That's Mr. Alex Burton, who is the director of the Truman Library. He's going to tell you a little bit about that in just a few minutes. But the freedom to serve is just the ability for you to show up and rise to your best as part of a fully inclusive force. And it was President Truman's library and that legacy that paved my path and so many paths to service. And so when we talked about, Eddie said, you will retire with the ceremony. I couldn't think of anybody else to retire me other than General Goldstein, who has created a more inclusive force, more so than anybody else that I know in service. And then I said I wanted to do it in a place that was meaningful, and that is this place here. So to tell you a little bit more about this amazing ground that we are on tonight, I would like to invite up Mr. David Fitzpatrick, the director of the Armament Museum and the future African American Military Heritage Hall. I'm sorry, before he talks, I will not forget Eddie tomorrow, but I certainly just forgot him. So Eddie, say a few words. Eddie.
Completely changed the entire plan. She will be retiring tomorrow. There's no doubt whatsoever. So as we, had the opportunity to look back on Eries' career, which, 1 September, when she officially retires, will be 27 years of service. On the 1 of August, I will hit 32 years of service, and I'm not retired. So I'm still trying to figure that one out. 27, 32, she retires, I keep going. And I guess we closed on a new house last week, so I may be going for another 30.
Wanted the pool.
Yeah,
so.
it was all because of the pool. But it has been 2 careers that, as we came together 23 years ago, it really was about service and ensuring that however we were showing up, that we were helping to bring opportunities for airmen, for soldiers, for guardians, for sailors and Marines to rise to their best self. So as you walk around the museum tonight, and you'll see a lot of firsts. As the museum moves toward the African American Heritage Hall, you'll see more firsts. As you go through tomorrow night, or tomorrow's ceremony, you'll hear about many firsts. And the key with firsts is that there's always a second, and there's a third. And it keeps going down. And as we've looked at our careers, making sure the first is never going to be the one that completely eliminates the barrier. It's going to be the second, the third, the fourth that continue to chip away at those barriers. And that's really what we have tried to set ourselves up for professionally, is to look at those barriers, to identify those barriers, to take action on those barriers where we can take action, to help others take action, so that they can see themselves. We've got a lot of young people here tonight. And when we look at where we are, as a global force, we have near-peer adversaries that are outpacing us. And we have to ensure that our young people can see themselves. That's why it's so important to have first. So that when a young black woman can see a picture I'm the one
Said no tears.
when they can see a picture of Eries and say that I can be there, that's what's critical. So opening of this Heritage Hall is critical, that when young people come through this museum and can see these different individuals that look like them and see them in positions of influence, that's what's so critical about the work that's done here and the work that we hope to do in the future. So with that, let's turn it over to the experts from the museum.
Thanks again for coming tonight. I don't know if I call us experts. So I took over as the Art Museum Director about 5 years ago. One of my first acts was to bring Jonathan Holmes on board, and probably the smartest decision I've ever made. He has helped me transform this museum. If you came here before then and now, the difference is just night and day. And it's not just us saying that and us feeling that and believing it. Attendance in this museum has increased from under 100,000 to almost 300,000 people. We might actually blow by 300,000 this year. We're pretty proud of that. The amount of time that people stay in the museum has increased from about 30 minutes to almost 90 minutes. And the Truman Library Director looks around. Imagine this little tiny building with 300,000 visitors. We're at fire capacity all the time. It is just chaos in here, but we love it. And also, one of the things I want to do in this museum is I want to diversify it. I want to better represent all the people at Eglin that have served over the years. One of the things people don't understand or know about this base is this base was built entirely by African Americans. In the late 30s, when the war was getting ready to ramp up and the world was changing drastically, this was just a big swamp. They mobilized the Alabama and the Florida National Guard. They came out here in force, and they turned the swamp into 11 active airfields. They did it in record time. And it just had never been done before. They built a railroad spur just to bring supplies in. They built the roads. They built all the first buildings. They built all the first tent cities. They just transformed this entire region, and they had to. There was a war coming. But they just did it in just a remarkable fashion. One of the side stories is, as they did this, they were highly successful. They did it in record time. It was just amazing. When they got done, they were going to be turned loose to go back home. And a little man named General Patton had heard about how they built all these airfields in record time, and he decided they should go over to Europe instead and help him build airfields because all their airfields were gone. So they got diverted to go to the European theater. So they all packed up. They were on their way, heading towards the Pensacola Naval Air Station to get on boats to go over to Europe. They're driving through Crestview, and as they head through Crestview, the Crestview Sheriff's Office stopped them. And the times were different, and the times were harder for African Americans back then, much harder. And the Crestview Sheriff arrested the driver of the convoy for being in their town and doing what he didn't agree with. So the lieutenant stepped forward, and he, of course, said, "You can't do this. There are military orders. They're traveling. There's a war coming. Release these men immediately." He arrested the lieutenant. So there was a gentleman at the time named Captain Smith, and he worked for the commander of the base. And the commander of the base had declared that anyone in uniform at that time, regardless of their race, would be treated the same. He said, "There's a war coming. Times are changing." He goes, "I don't care what their skin color is. They're going to be treated the same because they're all Army Air Corps, but Army." So Major Smith went out there. He took his enforcers with him. It was a cadre of Alabama National Guard and Florida National Guard men. In his own words, the largest men he could find to be the military police at the time. It was also new that African Americans were military police. One of the first times it's been allowed to happen. So he took his cadre up to Crestview to talk to them and get to release the men. The Crestview Sheriff's Office was not polite. They used inappropriate language, and the major said, "These are military officers. Do not speak to them that way, because you've all been informed that anyone in uniform will be treated the same." They did it again. He goes, "I'm not going to warn you again." They did the third time, and he had his enforcers jump over the counter, grab the sheriff and all his men, arrest them, take their badges, take their weapons, take their keys, lock them in their own jail cells. And then he went back to the convoy and said, "Hey, I've done this, so please get on the bus and go now." They all left. He had to then go back to the base and meet with the commander and explain what he's done. In his own words, he said he stopped to pick up a bottle of whiskey and a couple of shot glasses before he did the briefing. And he walked in and he goes, before I brief you on what I did, let's take a drink." Then he briefs him on what he did. The commander says, he goes, "Well, I'm going to have to think on this." Shortly afterwards, the town fathers show up. They're very upset. They want their men released immediately. And he says, "Well, as you were told multiple times, those are federal officers. They're military police." He goes, "I can't just let your guys go. You have to have a federal magistrate come and release them." It was a week to get a federal magistrate down. So a federal magistrate comes down. He holds court, gets them all released. The town fathers come back. They demand the general release do something about what has happened. So he goes, "I have," and he blacklists the entire city of Crestview. Says, "No military shall enter the city." After a few days, the town fathers came back again. They wanted this to end. They stomped their feet. He goes, "I have a solution for you. You get a new sheriff's department, an interracial sheriff's department, and I will lift the blacklist." They told him to pound sand, and they stomped off. The next day, the new sheriff calls up, says, "We have complied. We have a new sheriff's department. We have done what you asked for." He lifts the blacklist, and I have a headline. I came across a story as a senior historian for Eglin, and I came across a headline in one of the newspapers that said, "Crestview blacklist." And I'm like, why would you blacklist a city? And then I came across the memoirs and found the whole story. But the point of the story is that one man, one commander, decreed that he would just not tolerate racism in this area, and that everyone would be treated the same in uniform. And from that time forward, this entire region has had a different basis of how things are done. When the rest of the South is really just mired in this horrible treatment, this area was different. I'm not going to say it was perfect, but it was better. Because one man just refused to give in, and he changed the atmosphere of this whole region. But that's my little story about the Eglin Air Force Base and how we were founded. As you look around, this is the only armament museum that's based on bombs in the world. We are dedicated to bombs and weapon development because Eglin Air Force Base is all about weapons development. And again, like you heard earlier, we have a lot of firsts here. There's too many to even begin to list here. But we're very proud of it. We're very proud of what we're accomplishing. We are super excited about the African American Heritage Hall that's coming. It's been a long uphill battle. And Jonathan and his entire family, his wife is here somewhere. I don't know where she's at. But
engine problems.
His entire family has thrown themselves into this. I mean, they volunteered here, they're helping do designs, they're running events, they're fundraising. I just could not be more proud and also more lucky to have him on my team. But that is all I have. I don't know who's next, so I will turn it over.
As part of doing this tonight, I said, what can I do for the museum in return? And as they're building out this new heritage hall, we wanted to be able to help them with just some artifacts from our heritage to be able to tell broader stories. As many of you know, I got the chance to work with Dr. Ali, Ms. Stacey Robinson, and some other very amazing people at Maxwell Air Force Base to bring forward the story of an Army Air Corps civilian who then went on to be an international icon and really elevated our civil rights for our nation, and that was Miss Rosa Parks. And so we got to put up a sculpture in her honor in the place where she served at Maxwell Air Force Base. One of the amazing highlights of my career, with an incredible team. It was built by a young airman, Ian Mangum, also from Montgomery. I encourage you to see that when you go to Montgomery. So as we open up, come on over, Eddie, as we open up the new Heritage Hall, we're going to put a replica sculpture of the Rosa Parks sculpture in the Heritage Hall, and it's actually put in the Heritage Hall in honor of somebody pretty special, and that's General David Goldbeam. So sir, please come over here.
So I'll go ahead and read it. So, Rosa Parks opening ice sculpture by Ian Mangum, presented in honor of General David Goldfein. Maxwell Air Force Base changed Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks changed Montgomery, Alabama. Montgomery, Alabama changed America and the world.
So it'll be one of the first things going into the new Heritage Hall in your honor.
I'm going to give you all a piece of Be Alive by Beyonce, particularly because I think it is a song of triumph and graciousness for the opportunity to be able to experience the ups and downs of life as someone who is a person of color, and I resonate with that. It feels so good to be alive. Got all my family by my side. Couldn't wipe this blood off if I tried. That's why I lift my head with pride. I've got a million miles on me. They want to see how far I'll go. The path was never paved with gold. We worked and built this on our own. And can't nobody knock it if they try. This is hustle personified. Look how we've been fighting to stay alive. So when we win, we will have pride. Do you know how much we have cried? How have we had to fight? It feels so good. I've got all my sisters by my side, and I wouldn't change nothing. No, I wouldn't change nothing. So baby, lift your head, yeah. I've got a million miles on me. They want to see how far I'll go. And the path was never paved with gold. We worked and built this on our own. And can't nobody knock it if they try. This is hustle personified. Look how we've been fighting to stay alive. So Whoa. So honey, lift your hand, yeah. Ooh, ooh. Thank you.
Lieutenant in the Air Force, Maxwell Air Force Base. So I first heard Maya perform that song at, where is Sherry? There she is, right over here. When I got the chance to go and promote Sherry to Lieutenant Colonel, Maya performed that, and I said, please come and do that with us in our retirement. So thank you so much for doing that. Just absolutely amazing. Absolutely, please, yes. So tomorrow what you will see is a group of women who represent so many amazing women who paved my path to service. They're going to be part of what we're calling the Leading Ladies Flag Formation. I'd like to take a chance this evening to recognize all of them. So for the ladies that are here tonight who have been so awesome in my journey, please stand up and be seen. You know, I'm looking at y'all, so don't be shy. You can come there tomorrow. So it's amazing to share the journey with these women, and just there's been so many women who've just uplifted each other throughout the period of service, and so I just wanted to publicly thank them. And I want to thank one other person. Major Hewlett, would you stand up, Kate? And so one of the things we discovered as we were putting together the flag folding formation, she's been, I don't know what she's going to say tomorrow when this formation happens. It's not been shared with me, so surprise. But as we first looked up the words of the traditional flag folding, what occurred to us is that the stories that we tell as we fold that flag and pass it off to people in honor of their service represents largely one demographic. And there were no women in that story. And so Major Hewlett took the personal task and revised slightly within the Air Force Code the flag folding. So tomorrow I'm excited to hear what Kate has done, and she has developed a flag folding that you'll see with all of these women that also is inclusive of women. So thank you to Major Hewlett. Mr. Alex Burton to please come on up. He's been an incredible partner as I've really dug deeper into the history of African Americans in service and how their service has evolved through time. And a lot of that started with President Truman and the work that he did. And Alex is going to tell us a little bit more about that. So over to Alex Burton.
Hello everyone, Alex Burton. I'm the Executive Director of the Truman Library Institute, which is the nonprofit partner of the Truman Library and Museum. So this is a wonderful institution. I'm actually envious that you have 300,000 visitors a year here as compared to our 65,000. So good for you. I'm happy for that. And I'm honestly really honored to be asked to speak at this event. I've just known Eries for about a year. We met last year as a group of people all across the country. We're coming together to make sure that the very special anniversary that occurred last year, July 26th, was celebrated, commemorated, observed in a very appropriate way, and it was, and I'll talk a little bit more about what that anniversary was in a second. But so Colonel introduced me to a group of people, introduced me to General Brown, who is the head of the Air Force, who's the current chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He came and spoke at our event. And, you know, I think so much of you and so enjoyed meeting you, and you've been an inspiration to me and what I try to do for President Truman and his legacy. So I thank you for that, and I thank you for the opportunity to be here at your retirement. I wouldn't have missed it for the world, and I'm very grateful for that. I'm also very grateful to represent the legacy of Harry Truman, one of our great American presidents. And do any of you know anything about his civil rights legacy? Is this all news to you? Probably. And that's part of my job, is to share this story. 1945, World War II ends. There are black soldiers coming back from having fought for freedom, bled, died all across Europe, the Pacific Theater. They come back to America and they return to Jim Crow South, and they begin being discriminated against. And there was a story of a Sergeant Isaac Woodard, a decorated World War II soldier who was heading back home in uniform to the Deep South, and he was yanked off a bus, beaten, blinded, almost killed. The news of that got to President Truman's desk, and that happened in February of 1946, and Truman said, "This has got to stop." And so, he put his money where his mouth was. Truman was that kind of guy, buck stops here. And, over the course of the next 3 or 4 years, there were a number of very significant things that happened that led to ultimately him desegregating the military via executive order and desegregating the federal workforce, ending discrimination in the federal workforce. That took place July 26, 1948. That was the 75th anniversary that we commemorated last July, the end of July, and there was a wonderful 2.5-day symposium in Washington, D.C., and the most amazing thing that happened was that on July 27th at the National Archives and Records Administration building in downtown D.C., President Joe Biden came and he kind of honored the memory of that decision, honored President Truman, honored the service and sacrifice of all American veterans and soldiers, not just whites, but the African Americans who had also served nobly in all the different conflicts. When Truman issued the executive order, he also kind of formed a committee called the Fahey Committee, which was designed to make sure that it wasn't just an executive order that didn't accomplish anything. This committee's responsibility was to work with the branches of the military to make sure that the units were desegregated and integrated as soon as possible. And there was some conflict. There were people in the military, as you might expect, who didn't want to see this happen, who had concerns and problems with it. But Truman backed up this committee and supported their efforts to integrate the units. So by the time the Korean War took place, started in 1950, the majority of the on-the-ground units had been integrated in a very short order. This Fahey Committee had an important role in that. And the freedom to serve, which is, I think, a phrase that Eries appreciates a lot, and it's used frequently, and if you get emails from her, you see that she signs off freedom to serve. The name of the report that was issued by the Fahey Committee in 1950 was called the Freedom to Serve Report, and it basically is providing African Americans the freedom to serve equally in the military branches. And that's a story that not a lot of people know. The direct connection between kind of the growth of opportunity for blacks that were serving their country nobly and also working in the government really started with Truman and his support of the executive orders 9980 and 9981. Where's Jax? Are you around here? Would you stand up? Can I show your T-shirt? So if you ever wondered what this T-shirt's all about, that's one of the executive orders that is what we're talking about, what I'm talking about here. The connection continues. I mean, the first president who took a strong stand promoting civil rights. The next one to do so was LBJ, the Great Society. There were a couple of important steps in between that, including Brown versus Board of Education. We just commemorated the 70th anniversary of it. And so there was a study, this isn't very well known. There's a great book by Judge Richard Gurgle, by the way, and I promised I wasn't going to go too deep into history, and here I'm going deep into history. But he's written all about the executive orders and Sergeant Woodard and Truman and his decision. And so one of the things that I learned from Judge Gurgle is that when the Supreme Court was considering the case, Brown versus Board of Education, there was a report from the successful integration of the armed services that they shared with the Supreme Court justices, so that there was proof. Like, this is kind of ridiculous to even think this and say this at this point, but they needed proof that black soldiers and white soldiers could work together and that it would actually work. And if it worked for soldiers and sailors, then it could also work for students. So that decision and that paper, that study that was shared with Supreme Court justices, helped influence their decision in Brown versus Board of Education when that took place. So Anyway, enough history. TrumanLibraryInstitute.org is our website if you're interested in learning more about this. If you ever come to Kansas City, the museum's in Independence, Missouri, let me know. Ask Eries for my contact information. I gave her and her family a tour last summer and had a wonderful time. We went to lunch. I'd love to do that for you if you're in town. If you want to learn more about this, it's not hard to find. Truman, civil rights, East Egg Order, along those lines. But again, thank you for including me in your ceremony, and it means a lot to me personally, and it means a lot to the Truman Library to be involved in not just talking about a person who died more than 50 years ago and things that took place 75 years ago, but his legacy is incredibly important, the relevance of President Truman's administration, whether it's civil rights or NATO. We just celebrated the 75th anniversary of NATO, and that's obviously in the news all the time. What's going on in the Middle East, what's going on with the Soviet Union. There's still lessons to be learned and leadership lessons to be learned from President Truman. So also, it was really hard to follow that magnificent song, by the way. So if I could have had some influence on the program, I definitely would not have been following you. But that was really amazing. And Eries, thank you again for inviting me to this.
So you keep asking me what I'm going to do next, and Andy and I said, we just want to keep fighting for the right to fight. So we'll be working on some things surrounding how to improve more freedom to serve. It's been improved for us throughout our career. That's what we'll be doing next, and we'll get to hear more about that a little bit later. But I also want to take a chance to introduce Ms. Catrice Johnson. In a minute, you're going to get to go over and experience some of her amazing work. And then Mr. Jonathan Holmes, can you come on up for a second? Mr. Jonathan Holmes. So, Mr. Jonathan Holmes, when we first talked about having a little bit of an evening here, he was just so enthusiastic to be able to open up this museum in the evening time for all of us. And so, in a minute, you'll get a chance to walk back and see his the amazing display that will share with you what's coming, which is the African American Military Heritage Hall. And if you want to tell them a little bit about what they're going to see, and then make one more comment, and we'll let them see it.
Evening. Thank you for coming out. My wife has apologized, but her Porsche broke down, so it's like that, and I had to go take care of it. So she's sorry that she couldn't be here. I want to thank you for coming to the museum. My boss, Mr. Fitzpatrick, is really the beginning of this. I have to thank the Colonel. I will never call her Eries. I don't care when she retired, because I respect what she has done and who she is. And you just can't drop that, because when you see the heart that she has of service in herself, you have to start with that title. Same with the General over here. I thank you for bringing me with the General. We served together with the Triple Nickel, and he got fortunate that he left and went to Aviano, and I ended up so upset, didn't want to load bombs for him anymore. I went EOD, so that's my bomb set up front, because of you, sir. But the African American Museum, I retired here from EOD. I got wounded, so that's why I have a shaking voice, because I have a kidney transplant. But it's served you can't serve anymore. You play in the game until you can't, and then you sit back and you honor those who are still in uniform. My boss challenged me to do something that would instill promise in this museum. And in 2018, there was not one video in this museum, and me and my wife in 6 months created every video you've seen. With that knowledge and with that blessing, I said, this is no different than Marvel Studios. Our history has to make a playing field on any apparatus it can. So if I can't get Generation Y and Z with a font, small in print with black and white paper, I'll put it on the screen with interactive. So that is my mission. And then we got blessed to actually have a heritage hall, and obviously me being spoiled and being here as a curator, the first one was going to be EOD. And then if you give me an inch, I'm going to take a foot. So obviously I did African American Military Heritage. And the reason I did it is because when I looked at the heritage program, there was not one freestanding building dedicated to African American military history. And I was like, okay, since this is the largest base in the world first base and aspect of munitions and weapons and EOD, yeah, we're gonna make it happen here. So our original plan was to put a committee together to actually do it, but it's hard to get organized numbers to organize and do anything, and then what would you want to do with the money? So here I stand as the chairman of the first African American Military Heritage Society. With that promise, we are going to take every piece of history, respect it, but not propaganda. So if I have troops sitting in front of me and there's an interactive up front when you first came in that I just made, and it deals with interviews of officers and enlisted that I asked, give me history. Give me your history of why you're in uniform. Doesn't matter what rank, because bullets don't care. And they gave me propaganda. So after we talked for about 15, 20 minutes, and I talked to them about Rosa Parks, and it's like perfume. Once it's on you, you're telling it to the next person. And you can't get it off of you, but it makes the truth of uniform even better. Triple Nickel, Hellfire Group. Why does the Hellfire Group and young people have in common? Cavassier, because the Hellfire Group was recognized in France for all their achievements with that, and they brought it back to the States. So when you see some of these rappers actually celebrating it, you have to take away the beat and realize that they're actually honoring an aspect of history. And it's great to actually have somebody in uniform who came in for the 1st and 15th understand why they are in uniform. Triple Nickel Pararescue Troop, the Hellfire Group, Tuskegee nurses. A lot of them didn't know that they were not just nurses, they stitched parachutes for the Tuskegee Airmen. The Eglin 17, which was a story that was first introduced when I first started working here. There was a major accident in July 12th of 1941, and 15 African American Army soldiers from Camp Blanding and 2 Caucasian officers were killed. And Crestview would not touch the African American soldiers' bodies, and they had to be sent to Pensacola. The story elevated and crossed over and mutated to the Klan, to so many different fables, but the families of the troops were never honored. So when I started working here in 2018 as a retiree with a new transplant and wanted to get out there, they were like, hey, we want you to do this. And I'm like, I'm not the sacrificial lamb because I don't know the story, and I'm trying to figure out why nobody in 80 years hasn't touched it. And it went through so much trial and tribulation until last year when I finally just stopped and said, I'm gonna bring the whole unit home. Don't care what color it is, I don't care what order it is. So there's a bench out front of our building that's actually dedicated to the Eglin 17. And we just put the story to shame. And most of my group is not here. My wife, Pamela Holmes, serves as our CTO and FCO. Obviously, I'm letting my wife handle the money. And my son, who works at Protocol, is my chief executive officer in charge of photography. Mr. Brian Olmstead, who you see walking around popping wine bottles and look like he's about to have a stroke, is my first VP of management. And we have a major who's over with Med Group, who's deployed right now, and he's my history official. And I have so many young airmen who are deployed out there, but I charged them to dig into history and send it back to me in any format. And I said, if you send it back to me, remember that's a bullet statement. Somebody asks you what you're doing, say I'm part of this society. And a lot of this couldn't be done without my professional and highly blessed corporate sponsors. Florida Power and Light, stand up, Bernard. Mr. Bernard Johnson over here. His family has been on my side since day one. And I don't abuse the friendship. I don't abuse the friendship of what he works for. I abuse the blessing that his and his family gives me. And I thank the Colonel for bringing all of you here, but it's not a fundraising aspect. It's the fact that after we tell this story and you see the museum, then that great movie that you're telling will also be accented by, hey, there's a first African American Military Heritage Center here. And that's all I care about. That's only blessing and praying for our unit to actually make this happen. And once again, I thank the Colonel for bringing you here. Hopefully everybody ate, because I can't take all this home. So please keep eating, and I'll turn it over to Colonel. Thank you.
So these are the two gentlemen that put everything together for this evening. The food, the tables, the everything. And we just said, hey, we want you to do something here. We'll make it happen. Just show up. And so I did, and so did all of you. So please give a round of applause. And with that, we have the display right back here. Jonathan and Brian will be there, and they're going to show you what is coming for the new African American Military Heritage Hall. So please enjoy. Thanks everybody for coming out. Enjoy your night at the museum. Thank you. Hello. So all of those women you get to stand with tomorrow.
Are you so excited?
You guys fill in that side. We may need to do a couple rows.
Oh, dang. Yeah, it's going. You're gonna have to.
The shortest one here.
There you go. There you go.
You are not taller than
I am
me.
taller than you. I am taller than
Good evening. We are reporting live from Hurlburt Field, Florida, where we celebrate the remarkable career of Colonel Eries Mentzer. Colonel Mentzer is a beacon of hope and a symbol of progress. Her achievements have shattered the glass ceiling, paving the way for future generations to reach new heights.
Colonel Mentzer, from the moment I met you, you have been an inspiration to me. The first time we really got to know each other was on the way up to Birmingham, where you spoke at Women Who Shaped Our State event. And I was pretty amazed because I don't know anyone else who has a more impressive bio than you. But you spent the entire time talking about other women and highlighting and honoring them. And I just thought that was the most incredible thing, to see someone who had clearly achieved so much want to highlight everyone else but herself. And I think that's something that I'm going to take with me the rest of my career, is the way that you have lifted others up and highlighted them and tried to make sure that everyone lives to their fullest potential. I'm so grateful to have met you. I'm so grateful to have you in my life, and I know you will remain a constant inspiration. And I know that your life post-military is just going to be as incredible as your time in the military. There's nothing you can't do, and I don't think you have an ability to not do amazing things. So I'm excited to see where you go and all the wonderful things that you do. So congratulations and best of luck.
Congratulations. We are very proud of you. I was hoping you stay a little bit longer, another rank maybe, but maybe we'll do more good on the outside. So keep the fight up, and very proud of you, and we'll see what you do in your next steps.
All right, my man, what do you want to say?
Congratulations, Eries.
Congratulations, Aunt Eries.
So Wendy and Spencer Smith, and we met you, Eries, of course, when you started your active duty service in Izmir. We met you as a young lieutenant. We are watching you retire and are so proud of you. There are so many events, and we could not sum up just one thing that makes us fondly think of you and Eddie and Jackson, because we feel like we've been a part of almost every stepping stone throughout your life. So we're very proud and honored to be here celebrating your retirement.
Eddie and Eries, both of you guys are amazing individuals, and I will say this for the first time ever. For the first time, someone younger than me, I am identifying them as my hero. Eries, you are my hero. Enjoy.
Since you didn't let me stand up there, I want to say what Mom would have said. What a fantastic voyage, and I'm very proud of you. Love you. And also,
Oh, we got the blooper reel.
Yeah, geez.
Blooper reel, let's get it.
I just want to say how proud I am of you, and especially as being a woman of color. It is moving mountains what you're doing, and never forget, I'll always be a flower girl. Congratulations, Eries. I love you. And if Mom were here, she'd be here to tell you the exact same thing. We're very proud of all the accomplishments you have done. And don't forget about us when you make it big in the White House. Love you.
Congratulations, you're an inspiration for all, especially colored women and young girls. Thank you so much.
Hi, Eries, Eddie, Jackson. Thank you all for your service. I'm very proud of you, Eries. Love you all. Take care.
Congrats, Jax 2048. You have a heart of gold. Don't lose it on that long road. I love you.
Yeah.
Hello, Aaron. This is Oshak Hennessy, aka Maria Santiago. It's been a pleasure to have known you all these years, and I remember when we first started working in the Joint Staff, where you came into the office and you were just fresh breath air, helping me understand and navigate the headquarters, coming from a unit that normally deals with junior soldiers. And then me transitioning to the Pentagon, working with general officers, having you in my corner and showing me what right looks like and how to support our people helped me develop into the leader that I am today. And I am so grateful for that. You, Jax, and Eddie have been a great inspiration for me and my daughter. We are so grateful to have you in our life. She's not here today, but she wished that she could be. She sends her love, hugs, and kisses for you all. And we can't wait to see what your next chapter is going to look like. We are definitely going to continue to follow on social media just so that we can get a glimpse of what you're all doing. But hopefully this is not the last time we see each other. And I am looking forward to the next chapter.
Victoria Bowens, retired Colonel, Air Force, Office Secretary of Defense and Personnel Readiness, Director of Strategic and Community Engagements. Eries, I am so amazingly proud of you. You have accomplished so much more than any that I have known being an Air Force Colonel. You have nothing to worry about as far as what you have done or how people feel about you, because you are more than enough. You are worthy. You're past being worthy. You are a successful African-American female with a wonderful family who's supporting you. Whatever it is that you want to do, know that I'm here to support support you, and we're going to stay connected, and you're going to do great things. Freedom to serve is what you talk about, so we're going to continue to advance the freedom opportunities for everybody to serve. Now, if Jackson becomes the president, don't leave a sister out. Make sure that I get some kind of connection, because I need some hookups into the White House. So the best of luck to you and your family, both you and Eddie and Jackson. Live your best life, continue to have fun, and continue to serve. Love you, girl. We'll be talking soon. Talk to you later.
My name is Lieutenant Colonel Joan Thompson in the United States Space Force. I met Colonel Mentzer when I was inbound to Squadron Command at Maxwell Air Force Base, where she served as the first black female wing commander there. Just knowing that she was there and just inspired me. So I wanted to know who she was. I wanted to be in her atmosphere. And so she was very kind and willing to pour into me. Put a note on my desk the day of my change of command. Since then, she has continued to be an inspiration. She's a connector, she's a networker, she genuinely cares. And so, ma'am, congratulations. So proud of everything that you have done. You have left nothing on the table, right? And you have genuinely poured into everyone that you've touched. So enjoy what you have earned. Enjoy your time, feed your soul, try to rest somewhere in that process. But if there's ever anything that I can do for you, I'm here without a second thought. So congratulations to you, Eddie and Jax, and enjoy your retirement.
Katrina Felder, and I work for the Department of Veteran Affairs right now. Eries always made me feel seen. When she saw me at Langley Air Force Base, she got me escorted around a general officer. And then later on, I actually am a cyber person, so I was working in A3 and then A6. I also became the Director of Staff Executive Officer for ACC, and that's where we really worked together closely. And I always enjoyed Eries and Eddie's parties and always was invited and was very thankful for that because it always made me feel included even though I was by myself. So I really appreciate her. So I met her before Jax and after Jax, and I just wish her the best and enjoy the rise in the next adventure in St. Augustine. I look forward to coming to visit you guys.
I'm Lieutenant Sophia Gonzalez. I'm assigned here at Hobart Field, Florida, and I work in the 1 SOLRS. I first met Colonel Mentzer back when I was a cadet in ROTC at the National Character Leadership Symposium at the Air Force Academy, and I listened to her Dual vs. Dueling Careers speech, and it really hit home for me. I was really inspired by how she was able to lead her life and her career, pursuing a really awesome career as well as really keeping her family at the forefront of her mind. And after that speech, I went up to her because I knew my first duty station was going to be Hobart Field, and she took the time to, exchange contact information with me and offered to let me reach out to her once I got down here to Hobart Field. And once I did that, she took the time to sit down with me, speak with me, give me some mentorship advice, and I just really appreciated how she was willing to take time out of her schedule to meet with me and really try to give me advice and pass along some wisdom that she has. So thank you, Colonel Mentzer. I really appreciate you, and I really look forward to seeing what you have next in your life chapter.
I am Lieutenant Colonel Sherry Perkins. I am assigned to the Pentagon, half CX, your old stomping ground when you were a speechwriter, ma'am. Continuing to follow in your footstep every way and proud to do it. My message to you, ma'am, is one of thank you. Thank you for being an inspiration to me and all of the women who serve alongside both you and I. Just the professionalism, your outlook on life, how a no was never a no because you were always circling back and figuring out, has definitely kept me with my eyes on solving complex problems, and there's nothing that I can't do. The intelligence that you bring to the job, the professionalism, the high standards will always be remembered. I have so many things on my mind that I want to say to you, but I think it boils down to, you use the word force multiplier when we're talking about the effects that the Air Force can bring, but you truly have been a force multiplier, connecting people in every way, not just women, but airmen all over our United States Air Force. I cannot thank you enough. And on behalf of all the women's careers that you helped shape and all the airmen that have looked up to you over the years, thank you, thank you, thank you. Again, don't step back, step in. You are light, ma'am, and I'm gonna miss you.
Brigadier General Gail E. Crawford. I'm the Director of Military Justice and Discipline for the United States Air Force. I just want to say to Eries, I am so grateful for having the opportunity of a lifetime to be in service with you and to call you fellow airmen. I do want to check you on some of the comments that you made during the ceremony today. All that stuff about me lifting you up, you and I remember that differently. As I recall, it was you who were lifting me up. And you and I both know you were always the better leader, you were always the better officer, you were always the better mentor, and you made me better. And if it were not for you, I would not be here. And you know that to be the truth. Thank you so much for your service and for your sacrifice. Eddie, Jackson, you guys are getting your mom and wife back. Thank you for letting us have her for a few years. We'll check in once in a while, maybe borrow her for a little bit. But happy retirement, all the best. Keep in touch. Jacksonville, Florida is where my family is. St. Augustine's only an hour away. So I will see you soon. Love you guys. Bye.